What's going on, Fight fans? Welcome back to the main event. I'm your host, Griff and Kemp. Our boy Kalani Lua couldn't be here today. It's the man's birthday. Everyone give him a nice little shout out on social media. Let's get right into it. This weekend, we got UFC Fight Night, Saturday. A couple big ones. Let's start off with the main event. We got Ciryl Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. This fight is going to be interesting. Now, the heavyweight division's in an interesting spot. We got Francis Ngannou recovering from an injury. His last fight was against Ciryl Gane to retain his belt. We haven't really heard much from Francis Ngannou since that fight. He's still the champion. He's still got the strap. But now we have these two heavyweights. Ciryl Gane had a title shot, lost. Tai Tuivasa hasn't had a title shot, but the man's been on a run. What he did to Hardy, what he did to Derek Lewis, the man's legit. He's a legit contender, and putting him with Ciryl Gane, it's going to show us where Tai Tuivasa lands when it comes to the contenders in the heavyweight division. I mean, if the man beats Ciryl Gane, I think nobody would be mad if he got an automatic title shot whenever Francis Ngannou comes back. Now, Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa is a good opponent, you know. If he gets a win off him, it's gonna help his case to get it back in there with Francis Ngannou. But here's why it's so interesting. Because not only are these two men fighting for a shot at a title, they could also be fighting for a shot at one of the biggest superstars the UFC has ever had, in Jon Bones Jones. Picture it. I know Jon Jones is already, there's rumors that he's possibly going to be fighting Stipe in December, possibly at the end of the year. But maybe he goes and maybe that fight happens. Maybe Jon Jones fights Stipe in December, gets the win. It's his first fight heavyweight, gets the win. But maybe that's not enough for him to just go straight to fight Francis. Maybe if I'm Dana White, I see it as, okay, Jon Jones, first fight heavyweight, good job, you got the win. But maybe just one more fight could not just legitimize his title shot in the heavyweight division. It could also help Jon Jones. It could help Jon Jones to have not just one fight at heavyweight, but two fights. Get really adjusted, get really used to it, get really accustomed to the heavyweight division. And what better way to do that than to go against either Ciryl Gane, who lost to Francis, who has that experience at fighting Francis, or Tai Tuivasa, who is legit a heavy weight. The man is big. He's got punch power. He's got that knockout power. I think I wouldn't be mad at it at all if the winner of this fight went on to give Jon Jones, another test before he gets right into that shot with Francis. But we'll see. The co-main event, Bobby Knuckles, old Uncle Bobby B, Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. Now, these two men are in very similar spots that a lot of the top ranked fighters in every division are going through right now. They're in the middleweight division, and we all know that the king, Izzy Adesanya, still holds that belt. And not only does he hold that belt, he's beaten both these men twice. When you've been beat twice by the champ, it's real hard to try and get back in there for a third fight for a third shot at that belt. But as we all know, Izzy's got a big test coming up. Izzy's facing an old opponent, an old foe. A lot of people are arguing it's probably going to be his hardest foe. That's yet to be seen, though. I think it's interesting that these two men are going at it. Both men, it's really like, what are they fighting for? What are they fighting for? Both of you have lost twice to Izzy. Both of you you're top ranked. I believe Bobby Knuckles is the number one contender, and Adam Vettori is either 2 or 3. But where do you go from here? What does this fight do for you in your career? And how close does it get you to both your guys' goals, which is to be a champion, to get a belt? I think these men go in and brawl. They go in, they have a great fight. Win or lose. There's a lot of weight on what happens with Izzy and Alex Pereira down the line later this year. We just saw a dominant champion lose his belt in Kamaru Usman. And now that kind of opens up that entire welterweight division. Now, guys like Kobe Covington and Hazmat and Gilbert Burns, everyone saw Kamaru lose that belt, and it gave new life. Even Masvidal, guys like Masvidal and Kobe Covington, who've lost twice to Kamaru, now they have new life. Now they're excited. Now they're saying, "Oh, now I can get back into the belt. Now I can get back into the race." Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori, they might be doing the same thing. They might be seeing this fight right here. They're probably saying to themselves, if I win this fight and Alex Pereira goes and he knocks out Izzy and he beats him and he gets the belt, I'm right back in it. I'm right back in the race. I get that shot I've been chasing. New life. But here's the thing. Robert Whittaker's been on record saying that he's possibly looking at moving up to light heavyweight, 205. Now, when fighters get older, they don't necessarily want to make that weight cut anymore. And they still want to fight, but they just know they can't get down. They can't be cutting 20 to 30 pounds, anymore. They can't really do it. But that's what's gonna be interesting here. So if Izzy goes out and beats Alex Pereira, I could probably see Robert Whittaker going with that decision to move to light heavyweight and try his chances there. I mean, we've seen guys like Kobe Covington say the same thing. He's pitching fights to fight Dustin Poirier, who's a 155er, or even go up to middleweight, talking a whole lot of shit to Izzy Adesanya. It seems like a new trend where guys, especially in this age, which I like to call this age the age of the three kings. Shout out Kalani, I'll give him credit. He came up with the name. You have Kamaru Usman, though he did lose the belt, he will fight for that third time. So we'll see if he's really lost his belt for good. Kamaru Usman, Izzy Adesanya, Francis Ngannou, the three kings. This has been a dominant run by all three of them. And it's kind of made it to where all of their weight classes have been kind of clogged up. Now, with Kamaru Usman losing, with Izzy having a big test coming up, Francis Ngannou, John Jones just moved into your weight class. The three kings are being tested. So that's giving these guys who've lost to the champs, who are fighting for their shot, who still are hungry for the belt, it's giving them new life. It's giving them a new shot. And it's honestly making the UFC more interesting than it already is. Hard to do, but it is. So we'll see how that fight goes. Moving into the world of boxing. Jake Paul. Jake Paul's coming out, and a little bit of news now on his next opponent. One Anderson Silva. I love this decision. I don't know if it's confirmed or not. Lots of rumors, but if it's confirmed, this is what Jake Paul needs to do. This is right in his lane. He gets done fighting guys like Woodley and Askren, and rumors of him fighting Nate Diaz. Anderson Silva is a perfect opponent for Jake Paul. Because in Jake Paul's career right now, in this whole career of boxing, it seems like he's wanting to do two things: bring as many eyes as he can to whatever fight he's doing, and to have legit respect from the boxing community. Now, we saw he was trying to get more respect from the boxing community when he was trying to fight guys like Rahman and Fury. But then again, that doesn't really satisfy the other aspect of what he's trying to do, which is bring more eyes to his fights. I mean, yeah, Fury has his brother's name, and he is technically a legit boxer. But besides that, I don't know how much attention that grabs. I don't know the pull from that. And then Rahman, I mean, his dad, great, Hall of Fame boxer. But it's like Jake Paul said in the interview, he's not him. This fight with Anderson Silva, though, right in his lane. This is going to bring eyes to the fight, of course, because you have a UFC great, not just a UFC great, it'll be the greatest striker Jake Paul will fight, has fought so far. He will be the greatest fighter. I mean, Tyron Woodley wasn't a bad striker, but he was a little 50-50 with wrestling and striking. And Ben Askren was an absolute joke in the boxing ring. I mean, the man did not belong in there. But this will be a real test for Jake Paul. Anderson Silva, though he's in his mid-40s, he looks great. He's gone on a run. I believe he's 3-1 as a boxer. He might even be 3-0. But he's going to bring a challenge to Jake Paul. It's going to bring eyes. It's going to satisfy a lot what Jake Paul is trying to do with this boxing career. I'm definitely going to tune in for it. And, you know, I think it's going to be the closest. Like we said, it's going to be the biggest challenge. And I think that's a big aspect of what Jake Paul's boxing career has done. People are tuning in not because they think Jake Paul is this world-renowned boxer or he's going to one day fight, you know, the boxing greats. No, not really. They tune in because the man has a mouth on him. He's talking. He talks shit. And that's what people hate and love. And they tune in because they want to see the man lose. I think this fight with Anderson Silva is going to be the hardest test he'll have. It's going to be the closest that he might come to be threatened to lose. Anderson Silva's no scrub. Anderson Silva's been in there with former champions in boxing in these last few years. He's been in there. He fought Tito Ortiz, which, nah, that ain't really much. But it's going to be a great fight. I'm excited to tune in and watch. And I know, honestly, congrats to Jake Paul because this is the move you were looking for. This is better than Fury. This is better than Rahman. This is better than any fight you've had before. Well, that's all we got, fight fans. Tune in next week, Franchise Sports Media, for the main event. I'm Griff and Kemp. See y'all soon. Peace.